Welcome to the most dangerous and unusual place for tourism. Do you like horror movies and weird landscapes? Do you like riddles and unexplained phenomena? Great! Then you'll definitely like the Mystery Flesh Pit. This is a wide tunnel, so large that the Eiffel Tower could fit inside it, and its depth is still unknown. But the point is that this tunnel seems to be a living creature. It's a giant monster that breathes, makes sounds, and can even move and affect your mood. If you're intrigued, come to the Permian Basin in West Texas. Here you can book a hotel with windows facing the giant meat hole, enjoy a delicious breakfast, and take amazing photos of this frightening phenomenon. But the most incredible thing is that you can go on an excursion into the depths of this monster. Don't worry, all of our employees are real professionals with extensive skills in diving into the meat pit. During this journey, you can touch the creature with your hands, see unknown beasts living inside this organism, and take a seashell from the endless labyrinth with you as a keepsake. Enjoy your unforgettable vacation, a trip to the Mystery Meat Pit. The cost of excursions is not included in the package. You should check the prices with your tour operator. You've just heard a big fake created on Reddit by an artist named Trevor Roberts, and many people believed in it and went to West Texas to find the living pit. The scale and details of this project are incredible. The artist created brochures issued on behalf of scientists, secret organizations, geologists, and travel companies. He described the pit in detail, made beautiful models in Photoshop, wrote about the internal structure of the hole, and even now continues to keep a fake chronicle of events. It all started in the 70s. Miners were drilling a well searching for oil and found a strange layer of soil. Scientists, geologists, constructors, and secret organizations arrived at the site. They began large-scale excavations and discovered an unknown living organism. Biologists determined that its biological structure is similar to that of mammalians. It had layers of skin, the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. There are many dangers inside this tunnel. You can get lost if you take the wrong turn. This is not just one colossal passage. Many branches and other sections are leading into the unknown. Another danger is spasms. The organism's walls contract and shrink unpredictably. It's like how your muscles tense up when someone tickles you. There are also little weird creatures living on the walls of the pit that you can meet inside. You have to wear a protective suit to go down there. The walls of the hole can pull moisture out of you even if you don't touch them. The big pit needs to drink and eat, and it needs a lot. Until now, scientists haven't managed to determine the exact size of the pit and how deep underground it stretches. As far as we know, it may be growing and moving towards Earth's core right now. If it gets to the very center, it can cause worldwide destruction. But since the discovery and further study, people have expanded the tunnel inside the pit using technologies developed by Anodyne Deep Earth Mining Company. They built staples that artificially expanded the walls of the body. And all of it mostly to turn the pit into a tourist attraction. And in the 80s, this place became one of America's national parks. Anodyne Deep Earth Mining Company built a tunnel 1 mile long to send tourists there. But many who went there didn't manage to return. There are many mazes inside the pit where you can easily get lost. When the company expanded the tunnel and reinforced the walls with frames and brackets, the pit emitted a long moan, clearly audible for miles away. It felt pain and didn't like what people had been doing to it. The exact age of this superorganism is also unknown, but scientists found shells of ancient sea creatures inside. This suggests that the pit was once underwater. There was an ocean in this place about 146 million years ago. Also, scientists say this is not one organism, but a giant colony of many smaller creatures. Millions of unknown living beings adapted to life inside this monster. Perhaps once upon a time, the pit was a separate organism. Then, over millions of years, other creatures have attached themselves to its insides. These creatures, similar to crustaceans and beetles, have developed protection against the gastric juice of the superorganism. But the pit feeds not only on what it gets inside its stomach, it absorbs Earth's resources, oil and water. When nearing the mysterious pit, people noticed that they began to experience a strange feeling of love. They felt happy and wanted to always stay nearby. This is probably why corporations couldn't conduct more thorough experiments on this organism. They just didn't want to hurt it. This attraction worked thanks to the pheromones the pit released into the air. People from all over the world came to the pit to enjoy that love that the monster makes them feel. They organized festivals and shows there, and even wrote songs about it. But despite this, some began to use this pit for selfish purposes. Companies discovered that the meat of this creature was a cheap and valuable raw material for other industries. They realized they could earn a lot on this. The creature began to be exploited. Many were afraid that it would wake up and destroy everything around, but the organism continued to remain in the ground. People drilled new tunnels, extracted material, and made excursions. And so, it continued until 2007. On that day, there was a network overload. The power transmission system inside the pit and all the drilling rigs started to send out electric currents. The giant pit began to spasm. At that moment, tourists had an excursion there. The passages began to narrow, and people got stuck there. The rescue operation started. The plan was simple. Scientists decided to throw some toxins into the pit. This was supposed to force the pit to spit people back out. They dumped the substance inside, and it worked. The pit threw out pieces of clothing and some creatures living inside it, but there were no people. Along with that, the pit released a cloud of vapor with an unpleasant smell that spread out for 50 miles. The place became toxic. All people were evacuated. Hotels closed. All construction work stopped. This U.S. national park became a forbidden place, and only people with a high admission level could enter it. Later, the pit became the object of study for secret organizations and scientists. They managed to find out that this creature had 5 limbs attached to the central body. Which of those are its arms, legs, and head remains unknown. After releasing the toxins, the pit fell asleep again. Sometimes it moves and makes low sounds coming from its depths, reacting to people's research. You can find gigabytes of information about it on Reddit. Trevor Roberts creates brochures, reports, and diagrams about the pit's internal tunnels. Other Reddit users have joined this work. He tries to release materials on the pit twice a month. Also, he plans to create a big album with illustrations and detailed information about his project. Fans expand the world of the Mystery Pit. You can find their promotional brochures from hotels located near the pit, diagrams of meat tunnels, and even a detailed description of the protective suit in which you can go on an excursion. Many see this project as a philosophical demonstration of the relationship between people and nature. Someone loves to read the details of the pit's internal structure. You can also become a part of this project and come up with something new. Prints on t-shirts and mugs with the image of a pit, for example, or some biological feature, whatever. While people are working on it, the pit continues to breathe, shrink, expand, and make mysterious sounds. The Mystery Mitt Pit is a massive colony of small living organisms, and all these creatures are people.
Space. Dark, lifeless, and quiet, right? Well, apparently it's not always true. Recently, scientists have detected an eerie echo coming from the main black hole in our galaxy. It has high and low notes and sounds pretty otherworldly. What does it mean? Should we sound the alarm bell, siren, whatever? Sagittarius A star is our own supermassive black hole, sitting right in the center of the Milky Way galaxy where we live. You might know that black holes are the true monsters of our universe, gobbling up everything that is careless enough to come too close. If a massive black star runs out of its star fuel, it sometimes becomes super dense and buckles under its own weight, collapsing inward and bringing space-time along. As a result, the gravitational field of this new thing becomes so strong that nothing can escape it, not even light. And so goes a black hole. We really can't see black holes since they devour everything, even light. But we can still figure out where they're located, all thanks to the existence of accretion disks. Want an explanation? Well, picture a black hole. The starving thing consumes all the matter that strays too close, squeezing it into a superheated disk of glowing gas. The black hole also bends light around it, which creates a circular shadow. That's what I mean. We can't see a black hole itself, but we can see the accretion disk surrounding it. It happens like this. First, the material gets caught in the black hole's orbit and squeezed into a razor-thin spinning band. Friction, heat, electric, and magnetic forces energize this disk, which makes the material glow intensely. The most massive black holes have such bright bands that they can outshine millions of galaxies. Inside this disk of glowing material, particles rub against one another. It slows them down and sends them straight toward the black hole's event horizon. If this friction didn't exist, the material would be orbiting the black hole for billions of years, like planets circling around their stars. Now, let's get back to Sagittarius A star. It's far less luminous than other black holes at the center of galaxies astronomers have observed. It means that, at the moment, our central black hole isn't actively munching on the matter surrounding it. What, is it catching some Z's? The answer is unclear. There's new evidence received by NASA's IXP telescope. It suggests that the seemingly sleeping giant woke up pretty recently, about 200 years ago. Ooh, that is recent. It snacked on gas and all kinds of cosmic debris within its reach. Why did it happen? And what did the black hole do after that? Sagittarius A star is the nearest to a supermassive black hole, just 25,000 light-years away from Earth. Its estimated mass is millions of times greater than that of our Sun. It sounds impressive, doesn't it? So, when scientists spotted relatively recent X-ray emissions of ginormous clouds of gas in the vicinity of the black hole, they immediately called on the IXP telescope to figure out what it may mean. What intrigued them most was how bright these clouds were. You see, most cosmic clouds, called molecular clouds, are dark and cold, with their X-ray signatures very faint. But that wasn't the case with this finding. Of course, there are a few theories concerning this phenomenon. One of the main explanations for why these giant molecular clouds are shining so bright is that they just echo a long-gone flash of X-ray light. It could mean that our supermassive black hole might not have been that dormant some centuries ago. After additional research, astronomers figured out that the X-rays coming from the giant molecular clouds were actually reflected light. And this light must have come from a short-lived and extremely intense flare that was produced either very near or right at Sagittarius A star. And the most likely cause of it is the black hole suddenly consuming a huge chunk of the material surrounding it. It happened around the start of the 19th century. It was most likely a sight to behold. Whirlpools of particles were drawn toward the black hole's event horizon, also known as the point of no return. The black hole started to ingest all this material, which resulted in brilliant bursts of X-ray light and echoes that we managed to translate into sound waves here on Earth. This discovery is crucial for understanding the processes happening to and around our supermassive black hole. We might also figure out what physical processes can potentially awake Sagittarius A star again, even if this period of activity is just temporary. Supermassive black holes are the largest among all black holes out there. Their mass can be hundreds of thousands or even millions to billions of times the mass of our Sun. And two such giants have been recently spotted with the help of the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array of Telescopes, mercifully also known as ALMA. Two gigantic black holes were growing alongside each other not far from the center of the coalescing galaxy. Apparently, these black holes came across each other when their host galaxies collided. One of the black holes is around 200 million times the mass of our Sun, and the other is a bit smaller, about 125 million times the mass of our star. They aren't visible directly, but are surrounded by bright clusters of warm glowing gas and stars tucked close by the black hole's gravitational pull. Time will pass, and these black holes will start circling each other, and eventually they will collide, creating one, probably even bigger, black hole. Interestingly, such immense merges are more typical for distant galaxies. This makes it harder for Earth-based telescopes to see them. But the sensitivity of ALMA helped astronomers observe these bright and compact regions where matter swirls around black holes. Imagine how surprised they were when, instead of one black hole, they saw two of them, munching on the dust and gas stirred up by the massive space merger. And if before, experts thought that such galaxy mergers didn't really happen in our neighborhood, this discovery may mean that black hole binaries like this one may be much more common than we previously thought. And if pairs of black holes are so common, it can make it easier for us to study gravitational waves. These waves, also known as ripples in space-time, occur when black holes collide. If we talk about the recently discovered pair of black holes, it might still take them several 100 million years to crash into each other. But by observing their behavior, scientists can figure out how many binary black holes that are about to collide there are in the universe. Also, this may give us more insight into what is going to happen when our home Milky Way galaxy collides with the Andromeda galaxy in about 4.5 billion years. Oh, I can't wait. Now, have you heard that we might be living in a black hole? No, I'm not kidding. Such a scary theory does exist. See for yourself, black holes pull inside everything they see. But what if one black hole has already engulfed us long ago? Surprisingly, some physicists deem this theory somewhat plausible. For example, Dr. Nikodem Poplovsky, a theoretical physicist from Indiana University, states that everything that a black hole swallows may turn into a new universe inside the hole or on the other side of it. Who knows? Maybe our universe used to be a quite different place until it got pulled into a black hole. The theory of white holes is closely connected with the previous idea. While black holes swallow all the matter so that not even light can escape, white holes are something quite the opposite. These formations are believed to spit out everything that black holes have pulled in. In other words, a white hole is the hypothetical area of space-time that nothing can enter from the outside, but light and matter can escape from it. As for a black hole, on the contrary, you can only enter it from the outside, but can't get free afterward. Black holes are some of the most enigmatic and sinister phenomenon in the universe. They can swallow up entire stars and planets, bending the very fabric of space and time. But what if Earth, our home planet, were to be caught in the grip of a black hole's event horizon? What would we see before the inevitable end? Well, let's have a look-see, okie dokie. So a black hole is like the bully on the playground. You avoid them at all costs. It's a region of space where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape it. It's like Houdini in reverse. As with snowflakes, every black hole is unique. Each one has its own mass, spin, and charge. And they also come in different sizes, sort of like jeans. Petite, slim, regular, and husky, or something. Anyway, there are 4 sizes. The smallest black holes are the stellar mass kind. They're born when the massive star runs out of juice and folds in on itself. They're like the chihuahuas of the black hole world. They may be tiny, but they're feisty. They gobble up nearby matter like a hungry puppy. And even the smallest one is 3 times more massive than our Sun. Next up, we have the middle children of this cosmic family, intermediate mass black holes. They're too big to be born out of collapsed stars. Scientists believe that they may be created when several black holes merge into one. And even though they can't dominate galaxies, at least they can swallow up some nearby stars. Goody for them, huh? But do you know who can dominate a galaxy? The enormous monsters of our universe, supermassive black holes. They're the giants with masses ranging from millions to billions of times that of our Sun. And they play a crucial role in the growth and formation of their host galaxies. Finally, there are ultra-massive black holes. Trust me, you can't even imagine the size and mass of these guys. These cosmic eldritch horrors are extremely rare, but the ones we know can devour entire galaxies like Pac-Man. So, what happens if you get too close to a black hole? Or more like, what would you see in your last moments? Well, First, you reach an event horizon. It's like a point of no return, an invisible boundary that marks the edge of a black hole. And here's where things start to get really weird. For example, time starts to slow down. Not for you, for an outsider watching you from a safe distance. If you were falling into a black hole, you wouldn't feel any different. But if you were watching someone else fall into it, you'd see them slow down and eventually freeze in time, like in a paused video. As you get even closer, you would start to see some pretty mind-bending things. The gravity would cause the light around you to bend and distort, creating a sort of funhouse mirror effect. You might even see a halo of light around the black hole, known as the photon ring, or jets of high-energy particles spewing out from the black hole's poles. You can actually get pretty close to a black hole without feeling any major effects. It's only when you cross the event horizon that there's no going back. Your goose is cooked. After crossing this boundary, you'd be unable to see anything. For the person watching you from the outside, it would be as if you had suddenly disappeared. Meanwhile, you might start feeling a bit stretched out, like a piece of spaghetti. This is because the gravity is so stark that it's pulling you in different directions at once. There's even a scientific term for it, called spaghettification. We'll cover linguinification in another video. Now that you're inside a black hole, you're taking aim at the singularity. It's a point of infinite density in its center, where all matter is crushed down to a single point. It's like trying to fit an elephant into a tiny matchbox. Everything gets squished together until it's as small as it can possibly be. Which means it's time to wave goodbye, I guess. And if all that sounds scary, here's another fun fact. Black holes are not rare at all. Actually, there's one in the center of each galaxy, including our own Milky Way. So, does it mean that we'll eventually be sucked into it? And if so, how exactly would it happen? Well, let's see. Imagine a black hole approaching our solar system. At first, it appears as nothing more than a tiny speck in the distance. But as it gets closer and closer, its gravitational pull begins to wreak havoc around. Planets start to veer off course, asteroids are flung into oblivion, and comets are shattered into a million pieces. But just like waiting for the sausage to be served in a German restaurant, the worst is yet to come. Yeah, like that joke. Soon, it inevitably reaches the Earth. First, our planet's atmosphere would be pulled toward the black hole, triggering a massive windstorm. And there'd be huge waves on the oceans, the water itself being distorted by gravitational forces. Imagine seeing seas and oceans getting stretched out. Earth's magnetic field is generated by the motion of molten iron in the planet's core. But now, the extreme tidal forces of the black hole would disrupt this motion, causing the magnetic field to weaken and distort. All this would cause massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions as the planet's crust and mantle were pulled apart. All infrastructure and technology would be completely destroyed. Buildings, bridges, and roads would be torn apart. Okay, let's hit the pause button. Pretty horrifying, isn't it? Nah, but don't worry. You wouldn't have even seen that much, because you would have felt the effects of the black hole much, much earlier. Well, back to the future. We'll lose our magnetic field even before everything started to collapse. And this means not only that the weather and climate will become terrible, we'll also be exposed to extreme radiation. These gamma rays and the heat from the black hole could drastically change our planet. Say ta-ta to all our beautiful nature. At least misery loves company. We won't be the only ones affected by a black hole, which is probably even worse. As this beast engulfed the entire solar system, it would consume about everything. One immediate effect would be the disruption of the orbits of asteroids, comets, and all the other bodies. The planets would begin to deform and stretch, their surfaces warping like molten metal. The sun itself would be affected, its surface contorting like a glob of putty. And yeah, all this is scary even to imagine. But now, breathe and relax, because none of this will ever happen. This is the bright side, remember? Your infinitesimal odds of winning the big lottery are even better than the Earth ever being swept into a black hole. The nearest black hole to our solar system is called Gaia BH1. Discovered by scientists in 2022, it's found in our own Milky Way galaxy, about 1,600 light-years away from Earth. Gaia BH1 is about 10 times the mass of our Sun, which makes it a stellar mass black hole. It's not very interesting on its own, but its discovery has supplied valuable insights into the behavior of these cosmic monsters. But as you can see, even the closest known black hole is over 1,000 light-years away. They move very slowly, and they'll never get so close to our system to pose some kind of a threat. Hey, but didn't you say there's a black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy? Doesn't that mean it's going to eventually hoover up our entire galaxy, you may ask? Maybe not in that voice. Well, don't worry. The correct answer is no. The one in the center of our galaxy is called Sagittarius A star. You may remember it from that viral blurry photo that circled around the internet a few years ago. This black hole is indeed very massive and has a strong gravitational pull, like two 8th graders in love. However, it's still a small beam. It only affects objects that are close to it. The objects in the galaxy are all too big and move too fast to be pulled in by black holes. Nevertheless, they're still fascinating objects to study. Scientists are still trying to unlock the mysteries of black holes. And even though they'll never be dangerous to us, they're still a huge reminder of the incredible power of our universe. Now I think I'll turn my attention to the incredible power of chocolate.